like line training. Yeah. All right, docs. CAs, we're gonna bring it back in here. Any comments, epiphanies, reactions from the training? What'd you get?
I'll comment. My team, great body language. So we had different words, but the same, similar body language and the same tone, so saying that it doesn't have to be exactly word to word, but the tone, the confidence, the leaning in, the touching of the patient, so that they can feel you, not just hear you, was really good in our group.
Our group was super nervous the first time. The second time, like, they killed it. They did way better. Just like seeing a demo of it happen, way better. I think they both should come up and actually do it, because they did so good the second time. But
It's a good idea.
I think that's part of the plan.
You just got voluntold.
So I also want to say, so for docs, just so you know, we took it pretty easy on you. Camille took the CAs out in the hall. They did line training. Just saying.
Go, Camille.
Sergeant,
Anything else for anybody? Any CAs get anything? Anything feel like they're going to be better after this? Couple things I saw is I would encourage you to be more black and white in your wording. And where Justine was saying, like, in her group, everyone was getting the same thing across through different words. It doesn't matter your words, but your script should be your script. Your script should be your script. Like we talked about, it's like the way I train in my office is you need to have these anchor statements. So it's like, this is my opening line to this section of my script, and this is what I want to accomplish here. So I go into this, like whatever, like pick any spot of the day one I did, and Tony may have a conversation that needs to be addressed because there's a human being in front of me. I can't control the environment, right? So I need to be on a conversation, but then need to get to the next part of my script, because if I miss something, there's going to be a missed part of understanding. We're going to miss a procedure. I don't know what's happening, right? So you would have these anchor statements where it's like, here's my opening line, and that's the opening line every single time. So if I end up in a side conversation, I'm like, this is where I start, and I'm back into flow again. So even if there's some differences, like mine is not, what you heard up there is not word for word what's in the manual. But it is my day one every single time. Regardless if someone's got a concussion or asks some weird questions, I will still hit all the big points.
And mindset stuff, so again, think about it this way, I'm interviewing that person to see if they're a good fit to be a patient in our office, right? It's an interview. I'm not interviewing them to find out more about their condition and their health. I'm interviewing them to see, are they a person that I want to spend my time and energy caring for? Do I want to give a piece of my heart and my soul to this person to care for them? Are they a good fit? And if they're not, that's the questioning, that's the line of questioning I want to, I don't mean to sound, that doesn't come from ego at all. That comes from me wanting to share my principle. I know what I want to deliver. I have a vision of what I want to deliver. This person's got to fit into that vision. In most cases, people do, right? If you articulate it well and properly with caring and love, but if you get the feeling that they don't, or they're not a good fit, then why would I want to share my heart and my soul with them, caring for them? I can't care for somebody who's not willing to accept my love in that direction. I can't be with somebody as a partner, as my spouse, if she didn't have the same core values as me. Right? For us to have a sustainable relationship and build a family together and love each other and go in a direction to have a fulfilling life together, we have to be on the same page with many, many things. The same thing with a patient.
But the only way you're going to figure that out, though, that's you having your script, and it's whatever you want to put it. You need to know your script so well so that you, as a human being, can come through that. If you're searching for words or you end up on a tangent over here somewhere, the longer it takes, the more confused the person in front of you is going to be. right? So it needs to be succinct. When you don't know it, you're all over the place. And one person might get one experience, another person gets a totally different experience, right? And that's not what you're trying to deliver, but you're trying to figure out, you need to have the right information to get the best success. I need to get the right information from you so I can deliver that best success, right? That's why you gotta have that system down and your script down so you can figure out, again, does the interview go well?
I would love for somebody to come up here and just bring some heat. Just bring some chiropractic philosophy. And Diana, I think you were the one to do it. I really do.
She leaned forward as soon as she said it.
She made eye contact with me. Tell us what you know about chiropractic philosophy. Like, we're a bunch of people from a foreign country that have never heard about chiropractors, and here you are, here to save our lives, and tell us about the principles of chiropractic.
Okay. To a room full of people that don't know about chiropractic, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Do your doctor's report.
45 minutes.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, wait.
If it helps, talk to Phil, talk to me, talk
Phil,
to
help
us,
me.
even though you're talking.
I called Phil
Let me
again.
answer this question. Do you know what you're gonna say? Are you searching for what to say?
I'm searching for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just do this part then. Just do this part.
There you go.
Sure, okay. So we are looking, so the spinal cord is so important. It feeds all your tissues, your cells, your organs, and when you're and it supplies all that function. It's so important that there's 24 vertebrae that cover it to protect the spinal cord. And if those come out of alignment for any way, then you're going to get interference, and it's going to be a dysfunction to your body. You're not going to get all the goodness that the spinal cord is sending to all the tissues and organs, and you get disease, you get pain, you get dysfunction, you start to not thrive at your best. Why wouldn't you want to thrive at your best, right? So what chiros do is we actually check the alignment. We want to make sure that it's 45 degrees on all three curves, and looking straight. When you're looking straight, I want it nice and straight when I'm looking at you. Without that, you're not living the best quality of your life. So we do adjustments to help correct those subluxations and get you feeling your best. Okay.
Good job.
Yeah.
Good job.
Just honestly, but just the fact that you're able to come up here and articulate that without scripting it, you know, it's coming from your heart.
Yeah.
But just keep working on the passion. The passion's gonna come. I think that was brilliant.
Thanks.
Do that in your office, you grow 100 business a week.
Okay, yeah,
Easy.
not on the spot, it's one person.
No, but that's the training piece, right? So it was like you were really good at the very end. You're like, is that? Right? It's like someone had a cane and they were pulling you off the stage.
Colin, take over.
Yeah. Right. So again, but that's just gonna be again the practice, the certainty, and it's always gonna be different. So we even talk about this. So like Maria's been on the team all of 3 weeks, 4 weeks? 1 month, 4 weeks. And we were doing role playing, and I'm like, it's gonna be awkward. Like, just be aware, this is awkward. Everyone feels it's awkward, right? So everyone today, whenever you're up front, it's gonna be awkward. Just be aware of that. But then it's like, okay, so like some of my biggest growth is getting pulled up on stage at a Max Living seminar, and I came back and grew like exactly what Colin said, like 100, 150 visits a week in the next couple months. And it was just because something broke inside of me. And I'm like, okay, let's go. I was holding back for whatever reason, right? And so a couple things I saw in your wording there were some powerful words, really powerful words, but then you also dip back into, there's interference, dysfunction. Those aren't necessarily powerful words. But then I think you talked about death, right? This has caused disease and death or something like that, right? So there's some very powerful words.
Yeah.
But then you're also dipping into, and there's some interference and some dysfunction, right? When I see the word interference, does anyone get a picture from interference? No. So when you're saying things, it needs to create a picture in that person's head. If not, it's a garbage word, it's not gonna connect. Right? Dysfunction, fancy word that really means nothing. Right? So think of more simple words. Right? So like, Promise, he's our exam tech. He is a medical doctor, trained in Russia. So he's got a lot of technical words that is really hard for some of our patients to understand at the very beginning. So that's a big thing we train on too. Right? It needs to make a picture in their head, otherwise you're not connecting. But just as feedback, you got some soft words and you got some hard words. Stay on the more black and white. You have a beautiful delivery. You can say some really aggressive stuff and be like, wow, she really cares about me. I'm 100% serious.
Yeah, for sure.
In our individual training, she's not shy like that. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying, so no, but that growth piece for you then,
Yeah.
that growth is one-on-one, but then one to many. That's that growth piece. Because I don't like being in front of talking to people. I don't like talking in front of groups of people. I don't. But I do it because I know this is how, like Colin said, this is how we accomplish the mission we're trying to accomplish. Right? It's how I reach more people.
You guys are probably still too young to remember the Brady Bunch. But there was an episode on the
Thanks,
Brady
Mom.
Bunch where Marcia was getting her driver's license, and she kept screwing up. Like she was practicing going through cones. She kept hitting the cones, knocking the cones over. Till finally, somebody said to her, "Imagine the driving instructor there in his underwear." And finally, she got to her driving test, and she was all nervous. And then she looked over, and of course, the camera scanned over to the driving instructor, and he's there in his tidy whities, right? So
That's what it was in the
and-
70s.
Yeah, and then she started laughing. Yeah, then she started laughing, and she passed her driver's. But here's the thing. So I would say, practice that, and imagine you're talking to a group of medical doctors, or you're talking to a room full of pharmacists. You know, how would you talk if you had to get up in front of a group of medical doctors, very highly trained, opinionated medical doctors? How would you talk? You know, would it be the same? Would you filter it? And if you can just nail it and bring the heat and bring the passion in that setting, even if it's imaginary, you're on your way. In their underwear,
That'll disempower them.
Hey, Kate, come on, let's hear it.
What do you want me to do?
You
What
decide.
part?
You decide. I know you'll nail it.
I like to sit in the office with my patients. Is that fun? Okay, good.
So this time you're gonna stand. You gotta stand up.
Why?
Yeah, just 'cause-
Alright, give me a
just 'cause
sign
it's a
then.
drink.
This is
We're
growth.
getting out of your comfort zone here.
Oh, I know, my heart rate won't go down now. Thanks a
Right?
lot.
See, if we let you do what you do in your office, you're gonna get the same results that you're getting already. So this is about changing your
Alright,
perspective.
so what are we doing? What
Let's
part?
tell us about chiropractic.
Alright, well, most people come into the chiropractor because they know we work with the spine. Yes, we're moving bones and joints of the spine around, but really what we're trying to do is actually influence your nervous system. Your nervous system is the very first thing that ever developed in your body. Your brainstem grows, and then the spinal cord grows, these nerves grow, and everything grows out of the nerves. Every cell, every muscle, every tissue in your entire body grows out around that nervous system. And so if you want to kick your leg, or you want to take a nice breath in, if you want to digest your lunch that you just had, that's what has to happen. Is there has to be signals that come from the brain, down the spinal cord, through these nerves into all those tissues and organs. And so obviously, pretty important system. That's why we get the bony protection from the skull and the spinal column. Yes, this is there keeping you upright, moving around, but more importantly, it's there to protect these nerves. And so chiropractors and researchers know that there's an ideal position to the spine that actually allows these nerves to function properly. And so when we talk about the ideal position to your spine, what we're really talking about is your posture. Good posture, most people know when you look at someone from the front, they shouldn't be crooked. Spine should be perfectly straight up and down. The hips should sit nice and balanced across. From the side, what you actually want to see is these three distinct curves in the spine. So there should be a nice curve of the neck coming forward, back in the mid-back, and then forward in the low back. That's the best position for your structural integrity of your spine,
but it's also the best position for the least amount of pressure, which I now understand is not a significant word, the least amount of compression on your nervous system. And so that's this position that you want to live in. Now, through your life, different traumas can happen.
Okay, hold
different-
on, stop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm on an infomercial here.
I know. I don't know what to do.
Okay,
here.
but no, so, okay, here I'm gonna paint a little picture for you. So let's say Dr. Tara is there and she's in a cesspool of water and she's drowning. And it's your job to try to save her life and help her and instruct her on how to save herself. Are you gonna talk to her like that?
Depends if I
Okay,
ever
Sarah's drowning. You can't get to her, but you need to instruct her how to get out.
swim, damn it. I don't
I think what Colin's getting at is Diana's got this too, but you guys want the group to like you.
Probably.
You've lowered your presentation to a level of teaching as opposed to inspiring, as opposed to leading. And that's great if you want to have a 200 people a week practice. Like that's a wonderful 200 a week practice presentation. But if you want to have a 500 or an 800 people a week practice, you gotta ramp it up. Like this is not, we're not here to influence your nervous system. We're here to frickin' save your life. Like it's gotta come from like deep down.
What's a line for deep down? What do you say from
Yeah.
deep down?
It's not. So it's like. So look at this chart here. This is like the picture of life. 15 days after conception, before your mother even knew she was pregnant with you, the first thing developed inside of you is your brain, your spinal cord. From there, nerves come off your cord like branches off a tree. Every single cell, tissue, and organ grows inside of you like fruit on a tree. That's how you're created. That's how you live and function to this day. Different? Right? Passion. Passion. I'm not. It's not very controlled. It's not this. It's not using the big medical words. It's passion. Those of you who are lucky enough to meet Chuck Majors, a lot of people go and listen to Chuck, no clue what he was saying, but they knew he was very serious and very excited about it, and they wanted part of that. So when you hold back, like when I said, like, I think it was, I don't know if it was you or Blake, like I know it was like our first ML seminar, and Joelle's like, you go up on stage. I'm like, I don't need to. He goes, no, you need to. Like that's the piece that broke on me on stage. I'm a very controlled, reserved person, right? And back in the day, it's like you'd be yelling, screaming like this. They want you out of your comfort zone. And something changed on me, in me on stage, and I'm like, whoa, like I have a limiter on everything I'm doing in my practice. And not much changed, but the version of me that would show up into a room, into a adjusting room, into a team training changed, and that's what then turned into growth. What Colin I think is getting at there is it's your talk, your Toastmaster, whatever it's called, talk. It's very reserved, professional.
But that's what I normally do in my office. But it's one-on-one, right? Like I'm not gonna scream at a person like you have to get your spine adjusted.
No.
You're
But
gonna die.
no, okay, but we've had this conversation. Is your goal to continue to work as many hours you do and see as many people as you do?
No.
So it has to go one to many.
And you can be quietly passionate, right? You don't have to be loud passionate. It's good to practice being loud passionate because that's going to come through, right? And I would say I'm a pretty quiet, passionate person. I can get loud when I want to. But here's the thing: is that right? So let's think about the big purpose of what we're trying to do here. In my mind, taking interference off the nervous system is yes going to help them with their pain and symptoms, and yes, absolutely all that, but it's going to change their life. But more importantly, chiropractic is going to change the course of history in the world. Chiropractic is going to save the human race. That's the way I think. Like this is the biggest thing ever on the face of the planet, and everybody needs to know about it. And everybody needs to know about it the way that I think about it, because if everybody knew chiropractic the way that I think about it, the world would be completely different. There would be no war, there would be no, I mean, as BJ said, we would empty the prisons and fill the churches. I mean, like it's that big. It's that big in my mind. So this is not just about taking pressure off your nervous system. This is about saving your life. This is about awakening your spirit. You are not the creation that God made until you are unsubluxated. You cannot reach your potential that He has a plan for your life until we take the pressure off your nervous system. And until that happens, you will live a substandard life. Physically, mentally, spiritually, everything. So until we can do that, until we create a plan to make sure that there are no subluxations in your spine and your nervous system can function better, you are less than 100% of a human being. Simple. That's the way I think about it. And I mean, if you have to explain it that way, whatever, but get yourself to a point where this is so big. This is not just about the person in front of you. This is about their whole family, their relationships, everybody they know. This is about your whole community. Every time you talk to one person, it stretches so far. It's a huge responsibility. But as soon as you can communicate it that way, whoa, it's like people go, bong, like it's the light bulb goes, holy smokes. This is a chick I want to be around.
Good stuff, John.
But don't go back to Colin's example of trying to say to Sarah she's drowning. Like, it was explained to me one time, like, so you're in a hotel, you're at a seminar, and the hotel's on fire. Am I gonna go to the door? Oh, hey, Colin, I'm Dr. Brian, nice to meet you. So there's this fire. Fire burns people. I'm worried about your flesh and your well-being. Would you come with me to, or am I gonna be like, hey, dude, hotel's on fire, let's get out, right?
We don't want to just prevent the scars from happening. We want to actually save your life.
It's like that's why, like, for me, compassion's an urgent rush to help.
And it can be done one-on-one. So, like, what they're saying can be one-on-one, but it's the
Still a
work
version of you
still.
that shows up in there, yeah.
Cool. Another one? Or should we move on? It's up to you.
We'll move on because
You're the captain of the ship.
we're gonna do more
Okay.
on that. We still gotta have
This
time
is your
for,
ship, you're the
for
captain.
Corey to go through. Any questions on objections that may come up in day one that you guys need to solve going back to the office tomorrow, Sunday, Monday? On that, on checkouts, day one, getting to day two, very next day. Everyone gets 90+% people back for their day two, very next day?
Yeah. Not very next day, but usually within 40 hours.
Very within 48 hours?
Yes,
Yeah.
24 to 48 hours.
Cool. Then, after they come back in 24 to 48 hours, this is what day two is. Keys on day two is you do need to connect day one to day two. So there needs to be connection there. The intention of day two is patients leave day two knowing they know the cause of their problem has been identified, they understand there is a specific process to fix it, and they know where they are in that process. Where you lose people, this can be day one, and this can be in day two, is if you make it sound too complicated. This is why I'm telling you get away from the big words. If you make it sound too complicated, it sounds like too much work, they're not following through. It's like it needs to be like the process is it needs to be easy to get in for a new patient exam. It needs to be easy to get in for your adjustment. It needs to be easy to reschedule an adjustment. It needs to be easy to get here for day two. Like this, just talking about how easy it is. And then number two reason they don't follow through is they don't know where they are in the process. They don't know A goes to B goes to C. They don't know. They're like, I had an exam and they're talking to me about something. What's next? They're confused. They're lost, which is what kills all trust. Any questions on day two?
So up to that point, what a couple things that have to happen between day one and day two? What should happen?
Day one phone call.
How many people are doing a day one phone call? How many people do a day one text message? How many people don't do anything at all? Okay. So I would encourage you, day one phone calls are so valuable.
And I do a phone call wherever possible.
if you do nothing, like honest to God, if you walk away today and did absolutely nothing else in your normal routine, but just implemented a day one phone call, not a text message, phone call, with the intention of getting in touch with that person, and it's simple. I mean, your staff can make you a list of all the day ones or all the day twos and send you an email, and you can just, on your way home, just click on the number, and it immediately rings through, and it's just a simple little phone call. And even
save
if you
what?
left a voicemail, the fact that you tried to touch base,
What are you saying?
So,
very simple. So, if you mind, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, go for
So,
it.
hey Tara, Dr. Collin, I just wanted to give you a quick call to let you know that I did go through all your exam findings and your x-rays, and I am very concerned. You do have subluxation, like I was concerned about in the office. It is a little worse than what I thought, but the good news is it's absolutely something I'll be able to help you with. It's just gonna take time. We're gonna get started with your first adjustment tomorrow. I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, and we'll have more information after we go through tomorrow. Something simple as that. And then, they come in the next day, I can't believe the doctor called me. Like,
I call it the first visit, just to see if they have any questions about before finding the first adjustment, but not.
it's very intentional. So that first phone call, again, remember, we're creating a relationship here that when we get to day 3 and we ask them to marry us, I'm expecting a yes, right? If it's the right fit. So
if you're
this is
getting a
all
marriage
part of it.
proposal on your 3rd date, do you think there needs to be a phone call between the 1st and 2nd date?
More than just a text message.
Right, so the whole point of that is to belay any fears. They might be freaked out, like, holy crap, they took x-rays, I'm losing my mind. They did this nerve scan and there's like red on that thing, like what the hell does that mean? Like they might be worried after they leave and they're like, they have some fears. So it's to belay any fears, and it's to deliver hope. Right? So, like, when I was training with Dr. Drew on this, we were just talking about this the other day, I'm like the big piece of this, like my opening line on that phone call is exactly the same what they're gonna hear from me in day 2. Hey Tara, I just wanted to give you a call. I've been through your x-rays from today. I know from the exam with all the colors in the scan, you were dealing with subluxation. Went through your x-rays when you confirmed subluxation. Good news, it is something that's correctable, so when you're back tomorrow, I'm gonna go through that detail with you when we're sitting down in front of a chart, so you know what's going on, and we'll be able to start the process of helping you correct this. Any questions? People are like, no, thank you for calling. Right? They're like, yeah. Like Joey Coleman, $1 million trainer, has a book called Never Lose a Customer Again, and one of his first stories are, he got a phone call from a dentist after his first visit, and he's like, that is the best thing I've ever had. So now he teaches all his clients and charges hundreds of thousands of dollars. There will also be a phone call after day 2.
And in fact, I can tell you, so my wife Kim is the queen of retention. I called her, she could not fit a new patient in. She was so busy with patients who were constantly seeing her time after, for years and years. And she was very patient with a lot of people, whereas I didn't have that amount of patience. So she could not fit new patients in, but she would call them after re-exams. She would call them when they did a re-x-ray. But Kim was the one that was getting invited to weddings and funerals and parties and birthday parties for her patients. Like, they thought of her as a family member. What a concept. Yes?
What if you have 2 doctors treating the same patient? Like, what if Phil sees patient for day 1 and then I see day 2? Are we like both constantly
No, so who saw him on day 1?
Phil?
Who gives the phone call?
Phil.
Right.
Yep.
Simple.
Who sees him on day 2? Who calls him on day 2?
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're both doing it.
Yeah.
Which actually I think is more powerful, because now they're getting it from a couple angles, a couple different perspectives, right?
The rule we have in our office, whoever sees him on day 2 also does the day 3 rectify, recommendation in finance. That's the only sticky piece we have in our office. Otherwise, it's you see whatever doctor's on the shift, you come in at. But
And that's the way you guys schedule that? Or, like, there's nobody, everyone's the clinic patients?
Yep, 100% clinic patients, yep. Chiropractic is not about, can't be about an individual doctor, because we're individuals, right? This is the whole reason Reggie tried to create spinology, right?
We've had over the years too, a lot of people would not a lot of people, but the odd person would bring up an objection saying, well, I feel that that's a scare tactic. You guys, has anybody gone there when they're
What's a scare tactic?
like to call them and say, gosh, it's worse than what I thought, or you do have subluxation, or this is quite a severe condition. Has anybody thought that?
At the beginning I did.
Okay, so
Yeah.
here's the thing, right? Again, human psychology stuff. So, do you think people would believe good news from somebody they really don't know, or bad news from somebody they really don't know? What do people migrate to more so? Bad news, absolutely, yeah. So,
Look at the news.
so let's say,
Bad news.
Somebody's trying to sell you something, and they're telling you all the great things about this product, right? As opposed to, politicians do this all the time, as opposed to the negative things about not having the product, or the negative things about maybe a competition type of product. What are you more apt to believe? It's almost like all the positive things, like, oh, this is the greatest thing, blah, blah, blah. It's like scam alert goes off in your mind, right? People respond to bad news, and listen, if I think it's a serious problem, and they do have a subluxated spine, they do have a straight spine, they do have a scoliosis curve, you know, or they have degenerative change, like, I'm gonna do whatever the heck I can to scare the crap out of them, so they understand this is a serious problem. I wish to hell somebody did that with my mom. I wish somebody did that with my sister. They're both dead. Heart disease and cancer. So, I wish somebody scared the crap out of them, start taking care of themselves better, so they wouldn't be, they'd still be with us, you know? So, when you put it in that perspective, do whatever you need to do to get your message across to that person in a caring, loving way, but don't be afraid to be serious with them. Tell them, this is, subluxation is life and death. It is absolutely life and death. So until you get yourself to that point, you might have a hard time with that statement, but get yourself to that point where this is life and death stuff.
And if you're not there, you just need to read more of the research. You just need to look more of like what's happening, like what's the alternative right now.
And I think if you're in practice long enough, you see things. Like, I mean, you've seen people who degenerative, terrible spines. Their lives are
I saw a lot of you react when I said, so Blue Cross Blue Shield, the biggest insurer in North America, says health decline starts at age 27. Who thinks that is just friggin' ridiculous?
Yeah.
Right? So like that, so at 27, so pretty much everybody in this room, we're on the downhill right now. Does that seem even reasonable? Well, I'm saying, but I'm like, but see what I'm saying? Like that makes no sense. That's what their system gives. That's what their system delivers, right? I don't want to play that game. So I stand for something completely oppositional, right? So when you're on there, you're not calling to scare them. You're calling and only say what's truthful. But the biggest thing is most people sugarcoat stuff. Just tell them the truth, not to scare them, to help them.
We added something to that that's not in ML, and it's just one line. This is not your reminder call. The team will be giving you a reminder call later. So, because if they get two calls in the same day, it's a bit weird. And then the front desk says, I realize that you got a call from the doctor. This is your reminder call. And just acknowledging the two calls, especially if they're gonna happen the same day, and we post-exam phone call, so that way, and reminder call, so that, what if the reminder call happened before the doctor did the call? You can say, I know you got a reminder call from the front desk. This is not your reminder call. This is because I really care, and because it's so important that you're there at the next appointment, because I did find areas of subluxation. So just addressing it, because of the weirdness. Sometimes people feel like we're getting so many calls now. It's like, are they a marketing guru, or are they trying to just get me in or get something?
Well, that's a huge piece. So if you're any more than a 1 CA office, any more than a 1 doctor office, like notes are huge. Because if like our rule is, if you don't leave a note, you are responsible 24/7. You are on call. So you better leave notes, otherwise you're getting phone calls at weird times a day, right? It has to be that way. If not, we're like, hey, what's going on with this person? There's no note. I don't know. We checked them out. Call them. Yep. Right? Because if not, you don't know. Like you said, you can't have good communication, and now the patient is the one that's at risk.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. For day 2, we'll do the doctor part of day 2, and we'll do the CA checkout to get them into day 3. We'll do these 2 processes based on time. We'll do some role playing. We'll do some more front of the room stuff to make it fun. least for Colin. Flow of day 2. So they come back, it should be a recap of the previous visit. We do a little piece where this CA brings them in and has a little recap. The doctors do it as well. Tell them what was found in the exam, what was wrong, how it relates to their symptoms and their health. This is the huge part. It's whatever you found, whatever subluxations are there, it's not just causing their back pain, but these nerves control other organs in their body. Where people go wrong, if you have pain-based practice, if you have people don't stick around, they think it's for their symptom. And they're still symptom-driven because you never explained it right. So you sold them on pain-based care, and then you get frustrated why they're not sticking around and getting the big idea because you sold them to that. Right? It's an easier sell. I get it. But it's not, if you're looking to change lives, that's not the outcome. That's not how you start someone. What their next steps are, and then the purpose of the adjustment today. I'll do a quick demo, I guess. Who's doing our checkout? Camille's doing day 2 checkout. We will then we'll role play a bit. Then after that, we'll have Dr. Corey go through a little bit of what some of the differences are with the advanced rehab stuff. So I'm gonna talk just like level 1 stuff, just a head weight, just a level 1 home care kit. Questions before we start?
How long does the whole day 2 take for you?
20 minutes with the x-ray, I guess.
20 to 25, yeah.
Their whole flow, like in and out kind of deal.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
20 to
Including the
25 minutes.
adjustment, including the second adjustment.
Yeah, so you'll see, like, this part should be about 5. There's then the warm-up they do, get adjusted, they go for a stress film, and then confirm details for their doctor's report with their significant other. How many people have them bring another person to their report? How many people do not have them bring other people to their report? Okay. If you're not, I'd encourage you to. And we can talk about reasons why, but I'll go through how I explain it to patients. Tony. Oh, you're in a video. Okay. Terme. All right. Terme's going to be my patient. All right. Or is she going to be Mike?
So you said.
Oh, you're going to be Mike? Okay. I'm just for continuity. I'm like, I should go back to the neck pain stuff, et cetera, et cetera. Instead of just making one up.
You said Mike had 1 red on his scan.
Okay. So recap, we got Mike, he's 32, he's got neck pain for 18 years, shoulder pain showing up, asthma and acid reflux, he's married with 2 kids, no previous care, and needs to be able to box and become a boxing instructor later. All right, so I enter the room. Hey Mike, welcome back. I know after yesterday with all the color on your scan, you knew we were dealing with subluxation, went through your x-rays, we confirmed subluxation. Good news, I can tell you why you're dealing with that neck and shoulder pain, even why you're having those issues with the breathing and the acid reflux. My concern is, though, the amount of subluxation decay we found on your x-rays that isn't just causing the symptoms you have now, but it is affecting other organs and tissues you may not feel yet. So I wanted to explain to you a bit of what we found. Okay, if I go through that with you today, Mike?
Yeah.
So the biggest thing we found in your x-ray, remember we talked about last day that C shape in your neck was a nice C shape in your neck? It's supposed to be 45 degrees, yours is only 12. And so your neck is way straighter than it's supposed to be, and this isn't new because there is arthritis and disc decay at C5, C6, and C7. These are the nerves that run down into your shoulders, into your arms. This is the reason you're getting the neck pain and the shoulder pain. But these nerves also, you can trace them out, they also go to things like your lungs, they go to your digestive system, they even control things like your heart and your thyroid as well. And it doesn't mean all these organs are shut down, but it does mean none of them are working at their best. Does that make sense, Mike?
Yeah, you said C5. What is that C5 C4?
So it's the 5th, 6th, and 7th bone in your neck. They're right at the bottom right here where I'm pointing on the chart so you can see and understand exactly what I'm talking about. Might be hiring for a new tech on Monday. So I am pointing at the chart. So it is, again, this has to be very experiential for them so they understand what's going on. So I'll point exactly what's going on. One thing as a side note, The biggest thing I see with new doctors or nervous doctors is what I call fast hands. And it's like it's like here, here, here. It's very slow and very precise. Do you have any questions about that, Promise?
No.
And that's our biggest concern dealing with subluxation. It's not just the symptoms you're dealing with now. It's not to minimize that at all. But the biggest concern is that if this doesn't get fixed, we know on its own, it's just going to continue to get worse. So now the question becomes like, well, where are things in like another 6 months or a year down the road, right? Now the good news is this is correctable. This is what we do. We specialize in correction. We just need to start doing the right things. So if you want our help, there's 2 things we want to do today. Number 1 is get you booked for your complete report of findings. This is a special time we set aside for all of our new patients to go through the information you need to know to really put back in control of your health. In that report, we talk about how the spinal nervous system works, how you got damage to it, most importantly, how do you fix it, and we talk about what normal and abnormal x-rays look like. So to understand all of that, we'll sit down with you in private to go through your x-rays together on the big screen so you can see exactly what's going on and ask any other questions you feel you need answered to feel like you are back in control of your health, okay? So that report, we do a special time outside of our normal adjusting hours. Our next report is Monday evening at 6:15. My team has you scheduled for 6:15. Does that work for your schedule, Mike, or do you need a doctor's note to change schedule?
I'll be able to come in later, like around 6:30.
So yeah, so the report starts sharp at 6:15. So if that doesn't work, I can give you a doctor's note so you can change your schedule for Monday. Would that be better?
Okay, yeah.
Do you notice I gave him 2 options? Come or come with a doctor's note?
Yeah.
This report, Mike, also noticed you put in your form, you're married, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So this is typically the appointment when people are married, that they ask if their spouse can come along. Doing this for over 20 some years, I would absolutely recommend it. We've just found patients who have the support of the people that they kind of lean on get better results. For your wife to come with you on Monday, would she need a doctor's note, or does 6:15 work for her as well?
She may have to come in without me, but she can be here.
So to come to the report to go through your x-rays though, she kind of needs to be here with you.
Okay, I'll make
So
sure
we need to,
that
so that you can make that work, okay. Now you have 2 kids, how old are your kids?
5 and 7.
Okay, so this is the one time that you want to find, is somebody you can take care of the kids so you and your wife can go through your findings without being disturbed?
My younger sister will take care of them.
Beautiful. And if not, if it's absolutely they can't, we'll have them come to the office, bring an iPad, be in a private room while parents go through the report. Okay? Great, so the second piece we're gonna do today, Mike, is we're gonna get your first adjustment. Now the work we do is very advanced. Your spine is going to, and I'll show on the spine, physically change shape today. So pressure will start coming off the spinal cord, the healing process is gonna start. You're not gonna be like cured right away, we start going back in the right direction. Right after the adjustment, we're gonna go back into the x-ray room and do one more picture. For you, it's that side picture of your neck. It's gonna tell us how fast your spine can change, and therefore what you need for care. So when we sit down on Monday, I can tell you not just how bad things are, but how fast you heal. So like how often should you be getting adjusted, for how long, right down to the penny, what's everything gonna cost. We got a care plan set for you to get this corrected once and for all. Any questions about that at all, Mike?
So from what I understand is I have to come back on Monday, right?
So yeah, so what's gonna happen, we're gonna get you adjusted today. We're gonna take that x-ray after to see how fast you change. You'll be back on Monday with your wife to go through all of the information, your x-rays, and we'll set up your care plan to get this corrected for you. Right? And the great news is, Mike, like once you correct this, you will literally be at a higher level than they've ever been at before. We just gotta make sure we head back in that direction. All right, so I open the door. So my team's gonna show you get all warmed up for your adjustment. And that's a transfer to the team. Warm up for his adjustment, coming with his wife on Monday, and the team takes it over from there. We do a warm up.
When you practice this, get good at asking questions that lead your patient into the answers you want them to understand. So, like, yes or no type questions are good. So, Brian, I mean, he's obviously very eloquent at going through this communication, but very simple stuff.
But on that too, I just want to say, the reason I got good at this is for every time it didn't go well, I'm like, where'd I lose them? That's how it's refined into the version, right?
Yep.
And it's like, so where'd I lose them? Or get to the front desk, yeah, so-and-so asked, do I really have to bring my spouse? Is it really important I'm back on Monday? So that's clearly didn't land, right? Any objection, that's something you gotta figure out. Now, we don't train on the 10%, if it's a 1 in 10, it is that, but if it's anything more than that, something we should pay attention to.
And you can do this however you want to, as long as you're gonna get to the right answers, right? So, something as very simple as Mike, I did look at your x-rays, you do have subluxation in your spine, it is absolutely worse than what I expected. The nice thing is, we are gonna be able to get this corrected, but here's the problem. If you didn't get this corrected, and this subluxation continued to crush those nerves, and not only caused all of the symptoms and all of the pain that you had, are they gonna, over time, if this doesn't get corrected, are they gonna get better or worse?
Worse.
Absolutely, they're gonna get worse. And if this continues to get worse, and it affects nerves that go to your organs, and starts to spread to your organs, how are those organs gonna function? Are they gonna function better or worse?
Worse.
Right. And as that happens, are you gonna get sicker or healthier? You're gonna get sicker, absolutely, right? So this is, I'm not gonna let that happen. We're gonna have a plan for you to get this corrected, and we're gonna get started by setting up the doctor's report for tomorrow night.
So the 5-minute version and the 3-minute version, and you should have both. Because if you're backed up, you gotta move faster, right? It's not just saying the exact same words faster, because you're just gonna lose somebody, right? But you should have both versions.
So this is something to practice, right? There's no exact way to do this. I mean, if you want to practice Brian scripting, you're going to get great friggin' results, right? So I mean, like, just do it that way to get better at it. But you can get better and better and better. There's no limit as much as you get better. But if you can have a conversation, and as soon as he starts to have a conversation with me and verbalize the answers to the questions that I want him to understand. Like when he says it gets worse, in his mind, something triggers in his mind, it's getting worse. Like you're locking that into his mind. And if this doesn't get corrected over time, are you gonna get healthier or sicker? I'm gonna get sicker. So he knows it's getting worse and it's getting sicker, because he just admitted it when he leaves, if he doesn't get this corrected.
So steps going through this.
Conversion.
So recap the previous visit with all the color in your scan, right? I recap that. What we found in the exam, so that's his x-ray findings, there's arthritis, whatever that is. Lack of curve, how it relates to their symptoms. So again, this is causing the symptom you have, but it's also affecting these other organs. And if not corrected, we know it's just getting worse. Next steps, we have our report. We stopped calling it a doctor's report because people got confused. Is this here? Where is this, right? Because a lot of people say their doctor is their medical doctor. It's your report of findings. Whatever it is, they have their report, and their adjustment is their next step. And we set up a care plan that day. And the purpose of today's adjustment, start the healing process, pressure off the nervous system, and find out what you need for care with the stress film. Make sense? And then they get adjusted, they get an x-ray, and they get dropped off at the front desk. I'll play the role of either the tech or if it's a one doctor office. Here, promise. Here, Mike. Come on, Mike. Okay, Camille. So we just got promises. We just got Mike's stress film done. So he'll be back on Monday with his wife.
So Mike, I'm gonna help you with the appointment for Monday. I actually have some information for you. This sheet talks all about the next appointment and what to expect. And so I just wanted to point out on here that I know the doctors already explained that they're gonna be explaining exactly what subluxation is and how care works in our office. So we do ask that you plan for 90 minutes for you to be here for your appointment. We actually ask that you're here for 6:15 to be adjusted before the report starts sharply at 6:30. And just know that the report roughly goes from 6:30 until roughly 8 o'clock. Okay? So we wanna make sure that time is carved out in your schedule. I know that you are married and that you'll be coming with your wife. Do you mind if I ask what her name is?
Her name is Jane.
Okay, great. We just like to know that information so we know how to address the people that are coming in as they do come in. And I know that you have some young children at home. Will you be able to arrange for childcare for them for that evening?
It's a one-off, so yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, great. So normally we do encourage that children come into the office as we are a family practice, but we want to make sure that your attention can be on the report because this information that night is really designed for you. So you definitely want to be able to pay that attention to the information as the doctors go through.
Okay.
In this section, it talks about a few things you're going to want to bring with you. Do you have extended benefits that covers chiropractic care?
I'm not sure, but I think I have insurance.
Okay, so if you do have insurance, you're gonna wanna look into that, and in regards to the forms that it's talking about, we do need for you to fill in this bottom part. Even though we don't deal with insurance directly, in our office, we do like to know how it's structured, so we can make sure that you're maximizing on your submissions to your insurance company. And so this green sheet is actually some frequently asked questions to help you understand your insurance, should you need to contact them to get this information. Okay? The next thing that I'm gonna leave you with is actually a copy of our office hours, because it does talk about bringing in your personal calendar, so when you start to set up your future appointments. And something I would want to remind you as well is that you want to have your preferred method of payment with you, because that evening the doctor's gonna go over your recommendation of care, what that's gonna look like financially. Should you wanna set up that care plan, you wanna be prepared to be able to do so moving forward financially as well. Okay? And so, down here, it also talks about having your spouse with you for the appointment. Please have Jane read this information, so that way she understands the reason why she's here to support you in your decision for care that evening. And one more thing I wanna point on the sheet is that because you just had your first adjustment with Dr. Brian or Dr. Drew, their cell phone number is actually on this sheet. As the office is about to close, should you have any questions or concerns, you can reach out to them directly.
So I can call them anytime I want, right?
Well, you can definitely try to reach out to them directly. Whether or not they'll be able to answer is maybe a different thing, so maybe even a text could be good.
Oh, text, okay, cool.
Okay? And then the last thing that I want to extend to you, and now that you're learning more about subluxation and what it can mean for your body and your health, if there is anyone in your family that needs to be checked for subluxation, they can actually utilize this gift certificate to get their central nervous system checked. It will be free of charge over the next 7 days from the time of your report, so it does expire. And I just wanted to make sure that you're aware of it, so that way you can encourage your family to also get checked.
So you're saying from Monday to next other Monday, right?
Yep. Okay. So I have you and Jane all set for the report on Monday, March whatever at 6:15 p.m. And the last thing for us to take care of today is the fee for the adjustment, which is $60. How do you want to pay for that?
Cash.
Okay, great. And I'll email your official receipt.
It's fighting for cash.
That's pretty much it.
Well done.
Questions?
That's great, yeah.
At what age do you have the kids come to the doctor's report? Like if the child is the patient?
If the child's a patient, if they can make decisions, so typically like a teenager.
13,
Yeah, so I make.
Or depending on the child.
Yeah, depend on the child, right? So
And
anywhere,
both parents come with it.
any around that 11, 12, 13 mark.
Yeah.
And I tell the parents why, because to get well, there's gonna be things they have to do outside of getting here for their adjustments. Unless you wanna be 100% responsible for them, if they don't know why they'd be doing the other stuff at home, it's gonna be you're gonna be fighting with them to get well. And I didn't wanna do that, so they should come to the report. They're old enough to understand.
Yeah, I would say that's gotta be a personal decision too, because we actually had some pretty young kids at our doctor's report, because I always thought that was good for them to be introduced to this whole concept, right? So if they could sit still for 45 minutes and
Just
listen.
the maturity on the kid.
Yeah, you know, that all depends on, and the parents would probably tell, oh, little Johnny will never do that.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's what.
So a couple, you got a question, yeah?
How do you guys schedule a day two? Like, if you look at your day, let's say it's the morning, you have like random day two scattered through the day. Are they at the end of the day? How long do you book a day
All
two
throughout the
for?
shift.
All throughout the shift? Doesn't
All throughout the
matter?
shift.
Okay.
And it's based on flow. So we know a day two is gonna take about 5 minutes of doctor's time. And aside from that, it's staff driven, there's an adjustment, that's it, so it's 5 minutes of doctor's time.
Then you have to book, you have to make sure you have to get the x-ray, so you need to book the x-ray slot as well, so you can, that means you can't do additional appointments or other stuff at that time either, right? So, I'm just trying to.
So yes, and you're getting a bit too complicated. So you should understand what you can block book, so it's what we call a special. So a new patient, a day two, a re-exam, a re-x-ray, whatever it's gonna be. So there's a certain amount of specials we can book in a 15-minute block. We just follow the rules, right? So if we have a day one and a day two cannot be in the same blocks, we need the x-ray machine for both. But we can put a day one at 3 o'clock and a day two at 3:15. Because it's 15 minutes in the room, we'll be clear for that, right? We can book a re-exam and a day two at the same time, because a re-exam is supposed to take between 5 to 7 minutes. And a day two is only in the room for a re-x-ray a couple minutes, right? So just, I'd follow the rules per 15 minutes. When you're like, okay, I booked this section, that section, just how many specials can I fit in? It'll make your scheduling way easier, because I am very hard on scheduling, because if someone's at here at 4:30, they should be able to go in and get their exam at 4:30, if they're booked for 4:30, right? If they're early, they know they're likely waiting. If they're late, they know it might get rescheduled. Right, so make it simpler that way. A couple things I want to point out from what Camille said. Please allow 90 minutes. The report's 45. We do that on purpose. Because if someone's like, hey, it's 45 minutes, it's 45, the doc took 2 minutes longer, I booked something right sharp for 7:15. If we tell them 90 minutes and nothing's booked in their schedule until 8 o'clock, we got time to get through the report. They're not rushing out of here. She also said, we don't take insurance, but we want to know what your insurance is, because common objection, yeah, I'm not sure what option I want to pick, I need to figure out what my insurance is. So you figure out your insurance before you show up. You're taking away everything that is stopping them from making decisions on the care plan. Figure out the information before. Any questions?
Are you showing them the x-ray at all in day 2?
Nope.
When you're pointing, you're looking at.
I'm pointing at a chart.
I said you didn't.
Yeah. Now, if someone asks, hey, can I see my x-rays? I'm like, yeah, well, when you get adjusted, it's on the bottom of your card. You can take a look at it. They know what the hell they're looking at, unless they're a medical doctor. Look, that's right there.
Do you ever adjust them more than once prior to the doctor's report?
Yes, if clinically necessary. So I like bigger reports. I do 1 report a week. So if someone is a new patient and their day 2 is like on a Monday or Tuesday, my next report is not until Monday. I'm trying to keep them within that 3-day mark. So if day 2's on Tuesday, you'll have 1 more preliminary adjustment, we call it. You have 1 more preliminary adjustment. Either Thursday or Friday is a good spot, and you'll be back for your full report on Monday to keep you in a healing pattern.
That's what I do. I get them used to coming more frequently without giving them the big picture. We find it, we also, like, they're getting 3 adjustments before the doctor's report. We get them to prepay for those, so they're in the mindset of already. Now, we're at the per visit fee though.
Yeah.
So 3 times 75, so they pay $225 at the end of day 2.
Yeah.
So in their mind, they already have an idea. And when they see the value of the plan fee, that they're used to paying 75, makes that plan, Phil, look even more advantageous, right?
Yeah.
So that's why we don't get people asking to pay per visit.
To my team, I'd like to add that option of the option for them to prepay if we're doing a day 2 plus. On
Plus,
day 2,
they're
give
also
the option.
saving their credit card on day 1. So the day 2 checkout is, we'll just put it on the card we already had on file from day 1. So it's like, and they're already used to that automatic thing as well.
Yeah.
So it just pre-frames them that everything by day 3.
They
It's
just train,
already
yeah.
done, that mindset is already
Yeah,
there.
it's also faster on them to sit in front.
Faster.
Yeah.
They don't also have that excuse, well, I didn't bring a method with me on day 3, so.
Good news is, we
right.
saved, we got
Yeah,
credit information.
Do you tell them that you're storing that though on day 1?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How do you say that?
How do we say that? How is it?
Our system can confidentially save your information with only the last 4 digits visible. You may see a small pre-authorization of $1.23 that is automatically reversed by your credit card company in a few days. And then it's
Cool.
You know, it'd be something along the lines like, for your convenience, your credit card can be attached to your file.
Yeah.
Whatever, make it a patient benefit.
Is
Make
it
it a patient
just a
benefit.
click of a button to?
They tap their card on our payment machine.
But like for it to save the information.
Yeah, we have it connected to Atlas.
Yeah.
So if
So
you don't
that's
have
the
that,
difference.
that'd be worth investing in. If you already have Atlas,
That's different
it's one system too, instead of having 2.
So Brian uses Moneris. They approached me. It does not work with Atlas.
Correct.
The fees are about an 1/8 of what Atlas's are. I still use Atlas's payment processing because of that convenience.
It's global, that's who Atlas is.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
super
Well,
expensive.
we just got our box, we're in the
Yeah, we just
process of,
got our box.
we're putting,
Like with
we're,
delivery,
okay.
all you guys have been
The
We're in the
fees are way
process of
more than
switching.
Moneris, I'll tell you that.
Atlas has 3 more companies this year they're gonna negotiate with.
Yeah.
So it'll be cheaper. But
Yeah.
it's still well worth it.
Totally.
Are you pretty frame that in like their day 1 reminder call or anything to be like, bring your credit card to put on file?
Before day 1?
Yeah.
No. Well, actually, you know, on the day 1 call, we asked for a credit card to save the appointment, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we tell them the cost of the appointment at, like, on the phone call, so I haven't had an experience where no one brought a payment method, so.
And that would be something like we talked about the other day, to get into your normal scripting with that person before they come to day 1, to have that credit card on file. It reserves their appointment.
Who's testing it
Right.
out? We'll see how it works this
Yeah,
week.
you'll be better at it.
Yeah.
It'll be awkward at first, but you'll get better at it. It's good.
Any day 2 questions?
What has to happen after the end of day 2?
Day 2 phone call.
The day 2 phone call. Who wants to do a day 2 phone call? Amar, would you like to do a day 2 phone call?
Yeah, sure.
sure. So I switched things up a little bit, like the way I do.
Is this how your phone call goes?
Sorry. I'll do it over. So
Yeah.
Just do it, yeah, don't explain it.
Okay, so hi, good evening, Phil. How are you doing?
Very good.
Good.
Is this Dr. Armour?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's Dr. Armour. I'm calling from Bond Chiropractic. I wanted to know how you were doing after your adjustments that you received earlier today.
Yeah, I felt like powered on.
So that's exactly what I was expecting, like we talked about. So I'm really looking forward to seeing you and Lisa at that report of findings where we're gonna go over all of my see, I don't do this anymore, but we're gonna go over all the recommendations.
As of
and
Monday you
make-
do.
Yeah, and make sure that we're helping you get to your full healing capacity and potential. So I'll see you and Lisa then.
Thanks for calling.
Yeah, no problem.
You said you'll see you and Lisa?
Yeah, him this way, yeah. So I actually have a question for you. What I do instead of, because I was doing it this way, and what I do instead for my day 2 is I do the doctor's report video, I go over their care plan and then do the first adjustment. So I combine day 2 and 3 into 1. And I felt like my conversions did go up with that. So that's what I do. So
I'm gonna step away.
that was
So-
Are you at the volume you want to be at,
No, of
or
course
or
not.
growing at the
No.
rate you want to grow at?
Yeah,
no, I
we
wanna,
can talk about
of
that.
course I wanna get better. That's why I
So
switched.
things are improving, right? It all
Yeah.
depends on where you wanna go. Like, I mean, obviously, a group doctor's report is bar none the best way to communicate the principle of chiropractic. Plus, build a personal brand for you, which is, you know, people will buy your personal brand. They'll buy you. And it's tough to do that in a video, right? It's not the same. Like your first video you had, I said to Amar, she sent me her video doctor's report, and it was like 37 minutes long, the first one,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I said, I feel like I'm watching an infomercial. It was long and kind of actually
Well,
boring.
the challenge with, so if there's things like you're trying to like manage family and stuff like that, there may be areas where you need to have a video doctor's report. But I would recommend that is recorded when you're in front of a group, because there's different energy you have in front of a group that will transfer better. But you should still have at least once a week when you do a group report. Maybe it's at an inconvenient time for others, but it works for your schedule, like if you're dealing with kids and family and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But all the science shows, whatever I say in front of a group holds way more value than if I tell it to you one-on-one. If I'm on a video watching you on a video, there's a good chance I'm also on my phone and not actually watching you on the video.
Yeah.
So those are all the pieces I would say. You need to still be doing a group one if your goal is to help more people than you currently help.
Can I add, what's your definition of a conversion? If a single person is signing up on a care plan and not bringing their family, not referring them, that's not a conversion to me.
Right,
No,
so
exactly.
that's a great point.
Yeah, because I can say, like, so during COVID, like, we had to go to video DR. Like, we stayed open, but you weren't allowed to have groups gathering for a 45 to 90-minute report. We still signed up everybody, but they didn't bring family, they didn't refer people, so they started, but they clearly didn't get it because they weren't wanting to help others.
And there's the guys, you just have to decide what it is you want. I mean, like, we're gonna tell you what works, this is what works really, really well. But if there's a version that you can do with a video doctor's report that suits your life, you know, Corey, we talked about this.
Initially, I did it for 90 days. I went back to groups. Yeah.
And
Like,
it's still very valuable. If you're not
still
doing
works.
a doctor's report at all, and you wanna educate your patients, a
Do video.
doctor's report is a
Yeah.
great thing to throw in if you're just not willing to do a group report. You have a total fear of talking in front of people or whatever that is. I would encourage you to get better at that, because that's the way you build your practice. That's the way you spread the message of chiropractic. That's the way you get to those levels of wealth, you know, implementation, unification, communication. That's where things really start to grow for you. You move masses. And it's tough to do that with a video. But is a video the next best step to nothing? Sure.
So if you're at a peak volume right now that you want to be at, and you're trying to, like, how do I make my life easier, that's when I would start to alter the processes. If you're not there, the system works. I can tell you, like, when we were max living, lots of people tried skipping that day 2 piece or combining day 2 and day 3, and all of them went back to doing a proper day 1, 2, 3, because, like Colin's example, you just went from first date to ask me to marry you on day 2.
Yeah.
That's a big ask. It's a big ask, right?
Through a video.
Text message. Text message.
Mail order husband.
Text message.
On my day.
I just wanna say what I added to my email to tell them about their doctor's report is they do get 2 versions as a 8-minute clip of me explaining what the doctor's report what are the steps of the doctor's report. It's 8 minutes, and then I added a YouTube clip of Dr. Rosie's doctor's report. So if you want more information about what's coming, you can listen to Dr. Rosie. So some patients are now getting 2 doctor's reports, mine, and they're coming to the group, and they're extra prepared. And do I care if all of them watch Dr. Rosie? No. I might expect that they watch none, but those who actually go the extra mile and watch, some of them will watch both, and they're like all in before they even get there, which is nice. No, I didn't send the Spanish version, but that might be a good idea actually. They do a French or a Spanish and add it to it. Why not? Because they might send that to a family member, right? Because now they have a doc's report in email that they could pass on to a friend.
Sure.
So, like, since I started here, it's just a video thing that they watch, and I get how people maybe, like, are paying attention to it, because I find that when I am doing a 101, which I'm better at, by the way, but when I am doing a 101, it's, like, I have to repeat what's in the video, which they could have understood had they actually properly watched the video. But let's just say, so hypothetically, I don't know how a doctor's report goes and it'll pull through. Do people feel that it's invasive to their privacy, or that you know?
No personal information is shared during doctor's report. Just like I said in day 2, you were gonna learn how your spine nerve system works, how you get damage to it, most importantly, how you fix it. You'll learn what normal and abnormal look like. We'll then sit down with you in private to go through your individual x-rays. If you don't do a doctor's report, there's no way your patients are getting the big idea. You have medical patients in a chiropractic office, is my feeling on it, which becomes a lot harder come re-exams, everything else. Day 2 is where they make their decision on care, I believe. Day 3 is where they get the understanding of the bigness of what chiropractic is. And that's what creates great patients, long-term patients that wanna pay, stay, and refer. If they don't get that, you're robbing them of their understanding, which then a lot of times we complain about they don't get it, they're not sticking their home care, they don't keep their adjustments. We never set them up for success.
And I would even take it a step further and say, that's not where they become warrior patients. Where they become warrior patients is when they get engaged in all of your extra stuff. Like you bring them to a dinner. Like the first month, that was one of our goals, is the first month of their care, we are on them like flies on doggy poop to get to dinner, right? Sorry about the analogy, but honestly,
you're not bees to honey, you're like
not bees to
you're flies on crap.
So that was a team mission. Is that we had a list of new patients. They came to every single staff meeting, and we were on them. Okay, this one signed on. Okay, when's their next dinner? 2 weeks. Okay, they're getting tickets. They're getting VIP tickets. Hey, do you have enough friends to bring to a whole table? We'll reserve a whole table of 12 for you. Do you have 10 other friends? Like, seriously, that's how it went, and that's how it grew. Because we were that adamant about making sure that they understood everything, and we were that adamant that they had the opportunity to understand everything.
Any questions on objection to come up in day 2?
I'm just gonna add, I know nobody wants to think of CCO, but to be CCO compliant, Brian did it. He gave a diagnosis. You have an area subluxation. The alternative care, we need to give that. It will get worse if you do nothing. And then when you post your day 2, I have now added, because I've had my office evaluate it, it says verbal consent to care 1 adjustment, today's adjustment. Because you do need to have that in your file. And it's as simple as your day 2 button, whatever you hit, just add VCG, like verbal consent to given, so that you've now covered diagnosis, differential diagnosis, and consent for the first adjustment, because you're asking for adjustment prior to your doctor's report. So you still have to have administered a diagnosis and differential diagnosis before any adjustments given, according to CCO. And we're all gonna have to do note taking again, and that's one of the big things that they have.
Do you get them to sign their consent form at that
I
stage?
have them re-sign a consent form prior to their adjustment, yeah.
You do it then too? We do it at that stage.
I'm pleading 5th.
So.
I'm just like, you still did the.
Day 2 phone call. So let's have an example of another day 2 phone call. Steve, what would you do in a day 2 phone call?
Hey Colin, it's Dr. Stephen here from Generations Family Chiropractic. Just giving you a quick call here. Just checking in on you after your first adjustment. How you feeling so far?
Oh, it's really sore.
Yeah, you remember how I told you that that's one of the 3 options that it could be? That you could feel a little bit of soreness after the adjustment? That's your body adapting to the changes that we're making. Kind of like if you haven't exercised in a while. That makes sense?
Sure.
Yeah, so what I want you to do today is make sure you stay fairly active and drink more water than you normally would today. Okay, that's going to help flush out some of that inflammation that's responsible for that soreness.
Okay.
Okay? And if you need to, you can put some heat on it as well too.
It got better, it stayed the same, it got worse, that's exactly why I'm calling.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're going to see you and Kim on Thursday at 6 o'clock for your doctor's report.
Okay.
Sounds good?
Yeah.
Alright, see you then.
Thanks, Dr. Steve.
Cheers.
Good. Simple. So, one thing we didn't touch on is the preparation for all these special appointments, day 1s and day 2s in huddle. That's the time to make sure the whole team knows so day 2s in huddle, the whole team knew exactly what their initial presenting complaint was. They knew some of the history. They knew what was found in the exam. They knew what their x-rays looked like. We would often bring
They
the
were
x-rays
married or
up.
had kids or not, so they know what the checkout's gonna be.
So that was part of the duties in huddle. We would go over especially all those, we would go over every single person on the day sheet, but we would go over all the special appointments to make sure that we're all on the same page. And what's the next step? Right? What are the next steps for these? So they would already have an understanding for the day 1s that were listed on today. When should they be back in the office after their day 1, which happens today? So when's their next business day? Oh, today's Friday. Okay, so it would be Monday. So we're gonna make sure that we're all on the same page, that this person is gonna, after the exam, come out and we're gonna schedule it.
Yeah, the process on that after day 1, they should be back ideally the very next day, if not at least within 48 hours if you don't have like a shift or something like that. They're booked for the very next doctor's report. Whenever that is. If it's tomorrow, it's tomorrow. If it's 5 days from now, it's 5 days, but your very next doctor's report. It's urgency. That's gotta be owned by you and your team first.
One thing I find helpful too is on that day 2 phone call, post day 2, or if they're getting adjusted before the day 3, just check in and say, Brian, have you told your wife about that doctor's report on Monday night at 6? Because sometimes you know they haven't even told them, or they don't want to bring them, or the spouse doesn't want to come, so it just helps bring out those issues.
Handle
Make sure that they did tell them.
That's a good point.
I like that. Any other objections you guys might get? If not, Camille will run day 2 checkout training and see that everyone's got their objections. They don't want to bring their spouse and they're really curious if they really have to come to the doctor's report, or do I have to be at this Monday's? Those would be the 3 objections you guys train on.
Okay.
Doctors, break up, just do a one-on-one, make it a bit quicker. And pick one of those same objections coming up when you're scheduling them for a report. Do I really need to come to this thing? Does my spouse really need to come? I don't like Mondays.
Hey,
Or whatever day your DRs
here's a little thing. So I really want you guys to feel what it feels like to bring up the concern. So I want you to play this little game. Okay? So when you're one-on-one with a person, pretend the person is your immediate family member. And pretend that person, you did an exam on that person, your immediate family member, and let's say you found on your x-rays some sort of bone tumor. Like let's take it a step beyond subluxation and say it's now a bone tumor. So now you're explaining to them what you found on their x-rays. And you're not gonna use the word cancer, but you wanna come with that sincerity and that concern that this is a serious problem. Like you need, so yes, you do need to come on Monday night to see your x-rays with your partner because it's that serious. You know what it is. So let's just take it that step. Is that clear? Does that make sense? Yeah?
Great.
All right, let's do it.
Alright, I'll be the
10 minutes.
Sure.
That's the same time, and I'm like, oh, what are we doing?
Okay.
I can't talk right now.
Training with each other, love it, love it.
choking on the life, that's causing those headaches, that's causing the migraines,
We need the
that's
partner.
causing that brain fatigue.
You said for number one, it was to be a present mom, to show up at their
Welcome
sports,
back.
their hockey tournaments.
I'd like to just take a few minutes for you to kind of
What's
tie
also
together
very
what we
important.
I might just start with
Because if you have those sessions, is it gonna
just
be
following up
I think
from
you
our
remember from
adjustment
yesterday
plans.
that
As we
we
go.
for next
Yeah,
meeting,
absolutely. So
so
I'm so glad that you're here to try and know that we have, and these are the steps that we're in.
That's definitely
So
something
the
that I
next one
expected.
is
See,
on
the follow-up
Tuesday
next week
night,
that
we
we
have a
just did,
special appointment.
I noticed that there was a lot of change there.
Request that your husband be
Got
there.
normally talking as
So
us
that
walking
you
into the room,
understand
so we're not necessarily wasting a lot of time.
Kind of like a workout.
take you through what it's gonna take to get you well and stay well. And
So they're normally
also
sitting
home care
out in
recommendations.
reception.
But like I said,
and
that's
going to
okay.
be
That's
depending on
fine.
situation.
Sometimes that would be a certain adjustment. Some ways that we can help it.
Yeah.
Or we can wish it to. I'm still around. It's a little bit sore. Add some to it. Body loves it.
The reason I'm saying that is
I'm actually like, there's
I
no way.
also wanted to follow up as a reminder that we're listening with Monday. So
Like I just can't get it off, I can't afford to not be here.
Yeah.
So,
I look forward to sharing the results that you had so far on your health journey, and I look forward to seeing you.
It's a real life thing.
so what can you do? What's the earliest? that
Yes,
you can get
so
on
what
Tuesday?
we'll be doing
I can get there by
is talking in a
7:30.
group setting, just to give you ideas about health, what's going on with health, and the ways in
No,
which
we'll
we
have
can
the
steps
kids.
to better your health. And then you and I are just talking
Yeah, this is
about go over your x-rays,
very- yeah,
what
yeah,
is
yeah.
detected, what
And so
cause
is there
get you
any
well
way
as you
just
get
one time
towards better health.
because it's
Okay?
important that he's there
Excellent, I look forward to
because
sharing that with you on Monday. If you have
that
any questions
we
in
come
the
on our
meantime,
own,
just do give me a call or send me a text.
Yesterday's example,
the x-rays, what I'm explaining.
Well, the kids are sick right now, so I don't think I can really take them out. But could he be on the phone? Like, maybe he could be on the phone because he'd be putting the kids to bed. And then maybe I could get there 7:30 and then he could be on the phone.
What we do have is a recorded version of
quite
what
the
I'm
biggest
gonna
thing
walk
that I'm
you
trying
through,
to.
that explains what normal versus abnormal is.
scans,
And so is that something that you're watching?
So then,
Probably,
then you
yeah.
can literally
Great,
say,
let's do that, let's
I
go
know you
in
do from all the
Tuesday,
sessions
7:30.
yesterday, you were doing subluxation.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just
but
sum it up.
I know, I need to like work on like,
Your perspective,
well,
I'm talking
alternatives.
your perspective.
Because it truly happens, right?
Oh,
When they
it does.
can't
What-
make it,
what
no
can
matter
be
what,
done
they
better?
can't.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, doctor's not gonna be able to do it.
And I assume in here too, but Saskatchewan is very common that like the husbands work away.
Right.
And it's like 2
So why
weeks
was
into-
leading you to that,
Yeah.
I would say,
Yeah.
hey, I get it, your husband's a pilot, or your husband is not away. Would he be able to get 15 minutes on FaceTime so he can be part of this discussion? And